Hey guys, it's me, Saran. I'm back with another video. I'm chewing gum, so you guys are gonna have to excuse me for chewing gum in this video. I know that's super rude and obnoxious, but I'm enjoying the fuck out of this gum, so I'm going to keep chewing it. Hope you guys had a great weekend. It's Tuesday. This video is gonna be about something that I'm sure everyone's heard of. Raven-Symone, who said some pretty controversial things on Oprah's show recently. I believe Sunday she said so yeah, she said some really controversial things. She went on Oprah's show. She looked amazing. Hair looked amazing. Dress looked amazing. Makeup looked like everything in life. And then she opened up her mouth and everybody had a collective what the fuck moment. Even Oprah tried to like save her when Oprah realized like where she was going with her statements. Oprah tried to like save her. So if you haven't heard, basically Raven-Symone is, she's a pretty famous black actress. She kind of rose to prominence as a child on the Cosby Show, and she was in Cheetah Girls and That's So Raven, which to this day is the highest rating Disney Channel show ever. She's been in tons of TV shows, tons of movies, and she's always seemed really socially conscious, really self-aware. She had some really great episodes on Raven, That's So Raven, about race and racism, and some great stuff about body image. And she was also an executive producer on the show, even though she was like a teenager at the time. She's done some really awesome, amazing things. And she's always been really well respected in the black community, and people like love her. We love little Olivia, right, from the Cosby Show. So these inflammatory statements that she made really upset a lot of people. So I'm gonna read them to you so I don't get them wrong, because I know you guys know that I have a habit of paraphrasing. I'm gonna read them to you. So they started off the conversation talking about sexuality. Oprah, there's been a lot of rumor. I don't want to call them rumors because people felt like it was confirmed, but there's been a lot of rumors going around about Raven-Symone being gay, because when the Supreme Court ruled that a ban on same-sex marriage was unconstitutional, Raven put out a tweet that said, "I can finally get married." So people kind of took that as saying like, oh, so you're saying you're gay, right? And she's been out with, various girlfriends and stuff like that. So it was kind of just, I guess, a known thing that she never had to actually, come out and say, because you don't have to if you don't want to. So Oprah asked her point blank, if her tweet was a way of her saying that she was gay. And Raven kind of like danced around it. She goes, "That was my way of saying I'm proud of the country." Okay. But I will say that I'm in an amazing, happy relationship with my partner, a woman. Okay. So you didn't tweet, I'm so proud of my country, because her tweet did include, "Yay, government, so proud of you." Your tweet specifically said, "I can finally get married." There really isn't a lot of wiggle room there. Like, you pretty much outed yourself. But okay, if you want to say, that was strictly my way of being proud of my country, I'm in an amazing, happy relationship with my partner who's a woman, okay, fine. But then she kind of compounds it, and she starts talking about labels. And she says, "I don't want to be labeled gay. I want to be labeled a human who loves humans." I'm using quotes because she used quotes. She used quotations. So I don't want to be labeled gay. I want to be labeled. I want to be labeled a human who loves humans. So this is problematic. This is kind of stuff that I've talked about in other videos, where we kind of are entering into this phase where labels for some reason are becoming this bad thing, this negative thing, this taboo. And that's problematic, because when you don't talk about something, when you're not visible, you are not shedding any light on things and on issues, okay? Gay rights is an issue in this country still to this day. You know, gay rights are an issue. You know, gay marriage is an issue. You know, homosexual teenagers and kids, you know, killing themselves, getting beat up, getting bullied, you know, and that kind of, you know, homophobia, and that also kind of goes hand in hand with, you know, trans misogyny and transphobia and things like that that are also becoming, you know, more prevalent in our society. These things are major issues, and they need visibility, and they need champions and spokespersons, just as every movement needs a face. You know, you can feel however you want to feel about that, but it's just the truth. You know, every movement needs a face that people can look at, that they can relate to, that can be, you know, the mouthbox for, you know, the cause. So it's disconcerting to hear someone in Raven-Symone's position, you know, this socially aware, as far as we know, conscious celebrity who publicly tweeted, yay, you know, I can get married. That was a strong statement. That was a powerful statement to all the young black gay women that may look up to Raven-Symoné, that may have grown up watching her on TV as Olivia, or on the Cheetah Girls, or on That's So Raven. You know, that was an affirmation. That was an affirming statement that brought visibility to an issue. And we can't combat issues if they're invisible, right? If we can't see them, if we don't see them. So a lot of people felt like what she was saying was kind of like backing off from her former statements, you know, and a lot of people felt like it was homophobic. And she said some other things about, like I said, I don't want to be labeled gay. I'm a human who loves humans. I love men. I love women. Some people took that to mean like maybe she's bisexual and she has biphobia, and she doesn't really want to be, you know, out as bisexual, so she's just kind of like, oh, you know, I'm a human that loves humans, you know. And it's fine, it's wonderful to say that you're a human who loves humans. We should all love each other, but there's also nothing wrong with being gay, right? Saying that you don't like labels and that you don't want to be labeled gay implies that there's something wrong with being gay, implies that there's something inherently wrong with being gay and being out and proud as a gay Black American woman, and that you're running away from that. Like, and people have an issue with it. And she goes on, once we get past, you know, the sexuality stuff, she goes on to basically say the same thing about race. She says, you know, I reject the notion of labels completely in all areas of my life. I'm tired of being labeled. Okay, Raven, I'm with you. You don't want to be labeled. Whatever. Then she goes on to label herself, right? I'm tired of being labeled. Pause. I'm an American. I'm not an African American. I'm an American. You just labeled yourself, Raven. You labeled yourself as an American. But let's keep going. I mean, I don't know where my roots go to. I don't know how far back they go. I don't know what country in Africa I'm from, but I do know that my roots are in Louisiana. I am an American. There's another label, and that's a colorless person. There's another label. You don't like labels, but you just labeled yourself an American as well as colorless. These are labels. You're labeling yourself. You're defining yourself. You're labeling yourself even when you called yourself a human that loves humans, you know. I'm fully, you know, I can get on board the no labels train if we're actually gonna ride it. Like, I don't want to just get on board the no labels train and sit in the station, you know. Don't label me. I'm not a human. I'm not a woman. I'm not gay. I'm not straight. I'm not Black. I'm not white. I'm energy, right? That's the only thing we can really label ourselves as, because that's the only thing that's like we can scientifically prove. I'm energy. I'm atoms. I'm cells. I'm matter. I am matter in the universe. That's all you can literally label me as. Anything else is just a label that you've made up, right? Gay, straight, black, white, woman, man. That's it. But Raven doesn't say that. She literally labels herself. So clearly you don't have an issue with all labels. You have an issue with certain labels, which I touched on, you know, briefly a couple minutes ago. You have an issue with being labeled gay specifically, and you have an issue with being labeled African American specifically. You don't have an issue with being labeled a human being or an American or colorless. Those are labels that you accept. You only reject the gay and the African American labels. So it's also strange that she says, I don't know what country in Africa I'm from, but I know that my roots Or in Louisiana, I'm an American and that's a colorless person, and then saying I'm not an African American. Raven, I see where you're going with this. Like, I see where you're going. Like, I also don't know, where specifically, what country I am from in Africa. However, my family is from North Carolina, just as your family is from Louisiana. And I feel like if you can trace your family to a Southern community, as the majority of us, Black Americans, as the majority of us can do, you are tracing your family to slavery. You are tracing your family to a plantation. Whatever plantation that was, whatever crop we were working, So there's a chance that you did come from Africa. Of course, there's also a chance that you came from the Caribbean or from Brazil or, from places like that. So, and the only way to really know that is if you DNA test yourself. And, if you want to go down that route so you can specifically say, I'm a Brazilian American, I'm a Caribbean American, or I am an African American, that's fine. That's your prerogative. But to say that you're colorless, I feel like that's, that is a conscious effort to separate yourself from blackness. You want to completely separate yourself from blackness. And then she goes on to kind of pontificate more on that, where she says, I'm an American that is a colorless person. I don't label myself, even though I have darker skin and a nice, interesting grade of hair. I connect with Caucasian, I connect with Asian, I connect with Black, I connect with Indian, I connect with each culture. I'm a melting pot in one body, aren't we all? Isn't that what America's supposed to be? And then I was just like, oh no, Raven, oh no, you didn't just go skipping down the cultural appropriation highway. No, Olivia, come back, because that's literally where she went. Like, oh, like that stung. Like, just because you connect with Caucasian culture, Asian culture, Indian culture does not make you a melting pot of all of those cultures in one body. No, negative. That is not the way it works. And how offensive, That's like, I've been all across Europe, right? I've been to the concentration camps in Auschwitz, I've been there. I've seen them with my own eyes, I've read the books. I really relate to the Jews and the Holocaust, especially as a persecuted Black American in this country. That does not give me the right to say I connect with Jewish people and that makes me a melting pot of Jewish and American. No. My people, my ancestors, my family, my friends were not in the Holocaust. They did not, suffer in the gas chambers. They didn't go through that. That struggle has not left any kind of psychic echo or mark on my personal history. And how dare I, how offensive that is? Like, that's cultural appropriation. I can go to Japan and love the culture. My husband and I, we watch animes and mangas and, all that good stuff. But that doesn't make us Japanese. We're not Japanese. Like, we can't, dress up in traditional Japanese culture and skip our way down the appropriation highway and go to Japan and say we're Japanese, because we're not. Like, and this does seem to be an American affliction of kind of twisting and bastardizing these concepts of melting pots and turning it into something that means I grab bag at what I want from other cultures and I take it. And I have no respect for the culture, where the culture came from, for the language, for the history, whatever the pain, whatever the suffering. I just take. I just take what I want because I'm American and melting pot and I am all cultures. No, you don't do that. You don't disrespect people like that. Like, no, that's not how it works. You can't do that, right? Because Raven-Symone will never know what it's like to be called a Jap, a chink, a Jew. I don't know that many bad words for Jews, but I'm sure you guys know some. Like, she'll never know what that means. Where I live, just a few weeks ago at the beginning of school, they had a scare at the high school around here where somebody, like, dropped off a dresser in the middle of like the quad or whatever. It was painted with swastikas. They called in a bomb scare. They said they were gonna like blow up the school full of like Jews. You know, in Miami, at the beginning of the Jewish New Year, there was a rabbi that was like shot up and like killed. A hate crime. You know, can I relate to the culture? Can I connect to it? Sure, possibly. But I'll never know what it's like to have somebody paint a swastika on my front door, okay? I don't know. So I can't say, oh, I connect with your culture. That makes me a melting pot of both of our cultures. I don't have that understanding, and I will never have that cultural understanding. I can empathize, I can connect, but I will never truly have that cultural understanding. And it's really confusing to me the way that people are acting like culture is something that is universal. Culture is not universal. Like, that is the point of culture, right? You grow up in a culture, you experience it, it enriches your life, it shapes you as a person. You're either in the culture or you're out of it, period. There is no, grab bagging of cultures. When you're grab bagging cultures, you're appropriating them. And this is also something that I've had to have conversations with people about mainstreaming aspects of culture and completely homogenizing it and removing any type of ethnicity or, cultural, what is the word I want? I'm looking for a word, cultural authorship, I guess really is the word I want. Like, when you create something within a culture and the mainstream appropriates it and completely erases any cultural influences, that's cultural appropriation. It's inappropriate. Like, it's wrong, okay? Like, when you appropriate this and that and put it into mainstream culture, you don't credit the person that you got it from. You don't attempt to understand what that grew out of, what was the history behind it, the legacy. Why do people do what they do? Why do they act the way they act? You just say, oh, I like this. And we're in America now, so I'm connecting with it, and I'm just going to take it. Like, that's horrible. Like, that is completely inappropriate. It's racist. And Raven-Symone is one of these new blacks, because she's getting that new black label, that feel like, again, they have evolved past race, above race. I'm colorless, post-racial society. And as I've talked about in other videos about post-racial societies and being colorblind, what that means is, you're inferring that color and race and cultures are negatives, okay? That being separated by culture and having an understanding of our own culture is a bad thing. Now, that can be your opinion, but there hasn't been anything proven to show that any of that type of stuff is negative, right? Like, being black is not a negative unless you want it to be, Why would you not want to be labeled as an African American? I'm an African American. Like, my family goes back to North Carolina where we lived on a plantation. There are also Caribbean roots in my family, Gullah roots, but as far as I know, I'm an African American. We came from Africa. We're black, right? Like, and for me personally, with the way that I was raised and the culture that I was raised in, I would call myself black first. I would call myself black before an American. I would call myself black before I'm a woman. And this also plays into intersectionality, as I've talked about in other videos, the way that things intersect. White feminism, which is kind of built around concepts of the Madonna and virginity and innocence and purity, does not apply to me as a black woman in this country who, since the time I was born, was hypersexualized. I have to have basically my own form and my own tenet of feminism for myself as a black person living in the West, living within the white gaze. If someone lined all of us up, the whole American population, and said, hey, Seren, you gotta choose a side, stand with the women or stand with the niggas, I'm standing with the niggas. Stand with the Americans or stand with the niggas, I'm standing with the niggas, period. I'm black first. That is my label. I don't see anything wrong with being black. I'm not trying to run away from being black. I'm not trying to be colorless. I'm not trying to be post-race. I want to be race conscious. I want to be culture conscious in this country. I don't want to be post culture post-race where everything is just a homogenized, grab bag of cultures that we take, and we don't recognize anybody, we don't recognize anybody's differences, and we don't try to learn from one another. To me, that's not progressive. To me, that's ignorant. That's ignorance. It's ignorant, period. Like, we're not all the same. And that's wonderful. Like, that's beautiful. Like, we're all unique. We're all different. We're all special. And we should be accepting each other's differences and not trying to force, round pegs into square holes. Like, don't try to force me into that. You're labeling yourselves as colorless, which you're not. And then there's some people trying to save her. Oh, I get what Raven's talking about. What she's saying is, white people are not called white Americans. White people are just called Americans. So Raven is saying she just wants to be called an American. Like, she doesn't want to be known as a black American. She just wants to be known as an American, which is a valid point. However, you have to include the context around that. I've made a video, PSA, context matters. You have to include the context around that, because what is the context around white people only being called Americans and not being called white Americans? The context is white supremacy. We live in a country where whites are seen as the norm and the standard, which is white supremacy, and anything that is not white is seen as other and needs to be announced. So a person is going to be automatically assumed to be white. So if you're other, it has to be, made known. Black person, Hispanic person, Asian person, Latino person, Indian person, Arab person, whatever. This is the same with other norms, right? Hetero norms, for example. A person is automatically going to be assumed to be straight, right? You don't say straight person. So an other, in terms of sexuality, has to be announced. A gay person, a bi person, a transgender person, an asexual person, a pansexual person. And again, that operates under heteronormative beliefs and hetero superiority, right? This is a complex, hetero superiority complex, white supremacy and white superiority complexes. So basically what Raven and these people that say, well, I also want to be known as just an American, are playing into are these complexes, these superiority complexes, where instead of embracing their label and saying, we need to make it so that we're all equal, instead of saying we're all nothing, because that's basically what they're saying, right? No labels, no nothing. What we need to be doing is working so that we are all equals, so that gay and straight are equal. Not so there is no gay or straight. No, because there's people out there that are proud to be gay and want to be known as gay, and they want their gay to be equal to your straight. They don't want to not be known as gay. They just want to be seen as equals. And it's the same thing with race. We don't want to not be known as black. We want our black to be equal to your white. We want to break down the systems of white superiority, of hetero superiority, Same thing with men and women. We want to be known as women, Women don't want to say, don't label me a woman. We want to be known as women. We don't want to be known as men. We don't want to say there are completely no differences. I'm proud to be a woman. Someday I'm going to carry a child, and I'm damn sure going to be proud of that. I'm a woman. I don't want to say, well, don't label me man or woman. I want my woman to be equal to your man. Labels are not inherently bad. Labels are not inherently negative, and I wish we could get away from this train of thinking, because it's framed within really complex ideas about superiority and inferiority complexes. And Raven sounds like she has a whole mess of inferiority issues that she needs to work through, but instead of working through them, she's running from them and saying, don't label me, don't label me. That's something you say when you're a teenager, right? Like, don't label me, mom. You're trying to put all these labels on me, mom. Like, I just can't handle it. Like, I can't handle these labels, and you're trying to force me to be something that I'm not. Like, grow up. Grow up. Like, grow the fuck up. And be proud of who you are. If you're a gay black woman, be proud. If you're a straight black woman, be proud. If you're a gay white man, be proud. If you're a straight white man, be proud. If you're a trans, Hispanic, Asian, mixed, interracial, asexual, pansexual, be proud, embrace it, and be who you are, and stand up and fight and say, I am who I am, you are who you are, and we're equals. You're not going to strip me of what I am to try to say that that's what makes me human, because it's not. So, on that note, I'll be putting some really interesting links to some really interesting articles about this. I hope you guys read them. In my, not my last video, but the one before that, I didn't post links, and people have been like leaving me some really insane comments, even though that I clearly said that that was a rant video and not meant to be for any type of educational purposes. All my videos like this have links. So if you come across one of my videos and it doesn't have a link, please go to my channel and you will see that the majority of my videos do have links, because we're all talking, we're all having dialogue. It's all for us to learn and grow. So thank you so much for watching. It is a new week. It's raining. Hopefully it's clear and beautiful where you are. Happy fall, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.